and strengthen their teaching practice. In addition to the learning relationship between Sara and Robert that shows the power of intergenerational teaching and learning as pedagogy, there are lessons about research ethics and methodology. Their robust learning and research relationship results in working respectfully, responsibly, and reverentially with Haida stories and knowledge, which exemplifies a sturdy ethical research process. The innovative presentation of personal life experience stories has lessons for graduate students and faculty related to documenting, making meaning, and sharing research understandings through these stories. However, this book has another very important implication. Often the loss or denial of Indigenous language, knowledge, values, and practices may seem too overwhelming to change. One may question how an individual can make a difference. The story of how Robert, as a young adult, made a commitment to bring back Haida forms of art and how his family and community supported and challenged him throughout the years to continue with Haida revitalization of songs, dances, and ceremonies have important leadership, family, and community development lessons. One of the core strategies that has guided my educational work over the years, and to which I have a firm commitment, is to embed Indigenous knowledge and stories in educational sites in meaningful ways to result in quality education. Potlatch's pedagogy, learning through ceremony, is an excellent exemplar of this approach that braids stories, Indigenous knowledge approaches, and action together for many uses. Educators, academics, post-secondary students, community members, artists, and many others who read this book will be hosted to an unforgettable potlatch of ideas and considerations that will feed your heart, mind, body, and spirit. Respectfully, Dr. Joanne Archibald, Kwam Kwam Huyam, Stalo and Statliam First Nations. Acknowledgements. Hau'a to Nani and Chinny, Florence and Robert Davidson Sr., for their unending guidance and support. To Chinny for the many ancient songs and stories, teaching me to carve and connecting me with ceremony. To Nani for her teaching about feasting, potlatching, and for fine-tuning our songs. Hau'a to my grandparents' generation who were hosted by Nani and Chinny and came together many times to solidify their memories of our history to guide the totem pole raising. Hau'a to Mum and Dad, Vivian and Claude Davidson, for their great support. To Dad for his direction with carving and his many stories that continue to guide me. To Mum for her constant encouragement. Hau'a to Susan Davidson, who gave me much-needed support. Hau'a to my Skanalung, my father's sisters, Virginia Hunter, Emily Gertson, Primrose Adams, Myrtle Kerrigan, Agnes Davis, Merle Anderson, and Clara Hugo, who were always there to help Nani and Chinny. Hau'a to my uncles, Uncle Victor Adams and Uncle Alfred Davidson, who gave me unending guidance and advice on ancient knowledge. Hau'a to Skill Katlas Reg, my brother, for being a pillar of support for all the events I have hosted and co-hosted, whether it was fishing for food for the potlatches and feasts, or being a sounding board and giving guidance. Hau'a to my wife, Terry Lynn, for her support and insight on cultural knowledge, law, and ceremony, and for keeping me organized. Hau'a to my children, Sara and Ben, my niece Leslie, my nephew Cecil, and their generation for their commitment to learning and practicing our traditions. Hau'a to Sara for the beautiful ways she put these stories into words. RCD. Hau'a to my father, Robert, for his endless commitment to this project. He always made time for all of my questions, answering each one in interviews, emails, texts, and phone calls, regardless of the time of day. His tireless work reviewing the transcripts and the manuscript to clarify his ideas and to ensure accuracy made this book possible. Hau'a to my mother, Susan, for reading the manuscript and providing me with valuable feedback, and for her commitment to supporting me to strengthen my connection to my Haida ancestry throughout my life. Hau'a to my brother Ben for encouraging me and for always providing inspiration through his art. Hau'a to my stepmother, Terry Lynn, for reviewing the manuscript and providing research support. Hau'a to Joanne Jovanovich, Tanisha Solomons, and Walker Brown for their additional research contributions. Hau'a to Christine Bridge, Marianne Thomas, and Michael Woods for reading early versions of the manuscript and sharing their